G'day guys, Chris Binns, Travis Ferre from What Youth, and this is The Guy.
Another headliner
Dave
from
Wassell himself.
across the yard.
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate being able to get on the broadcast with you guys.
Mate, anytime.
Right on.
If you're getting bored over there, come have a chat with us. Dave, you've been a lifeguard on the North Shore for years.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that, because you guys have, I mean, it's not great, but you keep popping up at the moment because there's just been so many big rescues over the last couple of years.
You know what? Somebody was just actually in the office doing the books, and there was 50 rescues alone in December at Pipeline. 50. So even if you say, okay, a quarter of those, what would have happened had lifeguards not been here? A quarter of those would have been fatalities. You know, we've got Dusty Payne. Luckily, because he is the toughest man on the planet, literally, physically, and mentally stronger than any other human around, he's still with us. Half an hour later, we had another man pass away. So 2 fatalities, and the surf was not even this big, okay? So, you know, sometimes people come here and say, oh, what are you doing as a lifeguard? You must just be cruising, man. This is the life. I'm like, yeah, it's all good until it's not.
Yeah. How is Dusty? Is he up and about?
He has got pride in his side and pep in his step, and he's at home.
Yep.
And I've talked to his father, and he's doing really well. It's a long road to recovery. It's 4 to 6 weeks until he gets his jaws. His jaw was broken, and so it got wired shut. All the surgeries went well. He's doing great. He's lost a bit of weight, but he's doing good.
Yep.
Strong mind, strong body, great heart, and you know he'll be watching. He'll be watching the.
No doubt about it.
And he's actually doing a really nice thing, actually, because of this. What transpired? Basically, Dusty Payne was knocked unconscious, drowned, and was revived on the beach here at Backdoor with the help of surfers and lifeguards. I said, hey, should we start a GoFundMe page, Dad? You know, first thing you do is rush to the hospital. Yeah. Dad's there already. What do we need to do? I said, no, he's got good health insurance. Everything's going well. And he called me and said, you know what, Dave, let's start a GoFundMe page for the North Shore Lifeguard Association. Let's take whatever we can from this and use it to make sure to ensure that not only the lifeguards are taken care of, but more educating the public. So we're going to be running a clinic down here on Friday. You guys are more than welcome to come in, and it's the basic knowledge that everybody needs. We all need to know CPR and how to get somebody out of the water, because as surfers, you're going to be the first one on scene.
Oh, without that.
You're in there.
So
that's one of the most important
be
messages.
a doer.
You're from Finland originally?
Yeah, I grew up in Finland, yeah.
Are there any waves in Finland?
I think there is one.
Little corner. There's got to be a little corner, right?
Yeah, about
bottom.
6 p.m. every time that the cruise ship takes off from the harbor to Sweden, you get one wave. That's the wake. That's about it. No, there's actually a couple of surfers in Finland. They're frothing pretty hard. It's, you know, it's mostly wind swell, winter time, snowing.
Yeah,
but it's, you know, it's like maybe shoulder high at best.
Your surf career, how's that coming along? Ardo's surf adventure, now he's based on the North Shore.
Well, surfing, I started surfing about a year and a half ago. And then, you know, I was like, well, if I need to learn how to surf, I better just come over here and just figure it out. Because over here, it's sink or swim. And mostly I'm just, most of the time I'm just sinking. I'm under the water for a couple hours a day.
So you haven't dropped a man turn yet?
No. There's definitely haven't been any man turns that's been done. It's more like it's just a newborn baby deer. But
so what's it like being here at Pipeline, watching this go down for you? With your background, obviously you've been at the elite on your skateboard side and photography side. Now you're at the pinnacle of surfing.
I mean, this is surreal. You know, it doesn't seem real at all. You know, you got some of the best waves in the world and some of the best riders just right in your front yard. It's pretty sick. A couple of times this winter, I've seen it come to life. You know, when it really starts cooking, it's pretty impressive. You know, I felt a few times like there were some waves where my whole house shook and the windows are shaking, and I'm a little bit up the hill, but you can still feel it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you been out of your league yet since you've been over here surfing? Waves maybe a little too big?
Pretty much every time I go out, I'm out of my league. But you know, I've been mostly going the chuns and taking it easy and just kind of trying to figure that wave out. But you know, there's been a couple of days where it just closes up way on the outside, and snapped the leash there before and got tumbled onto the reef, thinking I'm gonna die, and just that's it. All right, I give up, and then I put my feet on the ground. I'm ankle deep water.
Are you still paying attention to the skate scene? Obviously, like what are your thoughts on, let's say, the Olympics and skateboarding?
I think it's cool. I mean, I think skateboarding in the Olympics is totally cool, but people forget that that doesn't represent the whole thing of skateboarding. That's one part of skateboarding. That's the competitive side, the super athlete side, and skateboarding's gotten that big that it's in there. It's like awesome. Like, have those guys go do it, have them get paid, do their thing. Epic. You know, it's gonna help promote skateboarding in a lot of countries that maybe frowned upon it, and there's probably going to be a lot more skate parks getting built for kids that don't have access to it. So,
what's the format in the Olympics? Is it a Volcom or is it?
Assuming it's like a park, right?
I thought it was like the barrel jump, and
yeah,
it's like a ski jump replica.
So full pipe.
How many loops can you do in a row?
Some of the freestyle sort of stuff.
Yeah, how many 360s in a row? I mean, I think they should have put barrel jump in there for sure.
What do the skate guys wear?
That's going to be interesting.
They're going to have a uniform of some sort. The BMX guys kind of did it in the last
have a uniform for a skate contest.
I mean, I assume it's a lot of spandex. You know.
You hope so.
It's a good assumption.
Yeah. It's gonna be sick.
It's funny though. I mean, we're laughing and joking about it, but you look at sort of the Zephyr team back in the day when they were storming those comps. They had uniforms and team spirit going on.
It's in the culture somewhere.
And they're the forefathers.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, you look at skateboarding from the 70s, 80s, 90s to now. How obviously the boards have changed, but how also the culture and the gear and the clothing and everything's kind of evolved with it, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. Maybe it kind of does a full circle and goes back into some outrageous neon colors and stuff like that.
Where does, bigger picture, where does skateboarding go from here? I mean, surfing, we're looking at guys are getting into flips and inverts and this sort of stuff. The waves guys are riding are bigger and bigger and bigger. What's skateboarding's kind of evolution going to be over the next few years?
I mean, the level of skateboarding in the last 10 years has grown so much that I didn't think it was going to get to this level, and how technically advanced and big it's getting. I mean, before it was kind of technical, you know, people would be really technical, and then there'd be people doing big stuff. Now it's all that's getting combined, and people are just so gnarly that I don't know how much bigger it can get, because, you know, I mean, Danny and Bob and all those guys doing mega ramp, like, your equipment changes.
Yep.
The boards they're riding are totally different what you can ride on street. They're so huge that you can't operate them going at normal speed. You got to be going 60 miles an hour to, you know, so that itself is another sport or an art form or whatever you want to call it. Like mega ramp, that's a whole evolution on its own.
Yeah, it's like toe surfing or I mean, foil board. There's all these different things that are touching into the surfboard.
Toe in surfing or what, you know, whatever. It's on another scale, and there's only a handful of people that can actually do it, and obviously have access to that kind of equipment. But as far as street skating goes, in the 90s it was very separated. It was street skating, technical skating, small wheels, small trucks, very technical, manuals, low to the ground. 80s it was more ramp skating and pool skating. Before that it was downhills and pools and kind of very surf. I mean, skateboarding came from surfing. That's all. All came from back there. And now all those things that it's gone through, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, now all that stuff is getting combined. How Mark Gonzalez was in the video days, back in the day, he would skate, do the sickest backside airs on vert, and then just board sign down kink rails and all that stuff.
Did it all.
And now I think it's going even further into the fact where skateboarders are most of them are back into accepting surfing. It's like, okay, that's where it came from. And a lot of skaters surf. And I think you can fully see, you can see the flow in people. The people that surf and skate definitely have better style than most people that only skate, or vice versa. It's like, I think both of those things really work together, feed off of each other.
Who is your favorite surfer? Who's Ardo's favorite surfer?
Dude, I love Mason Ho is so sick. Lately I've been so psyched. I mean, he looks like he just has the most fun over there. He's fucking around, whether it's a big wave, gnarly wave, or shore break, or whitewash, whatever. He's just.
It's really hard not
playing.
to say he's your favorite to anyone. We're all just like
He just looks like he has the most fun over there.
Yeah.
He's just dicking around, having fun, and just doing gnarly stuff at the same time.
Noah, what are you doing here? North Shore.
Yeah.
Wow.
John, who you're meant to be in a heat with in a couple of days' time, is on the Gold Coast, and Noah is on
Ground
the North
zero,
Shore.
pipe, ready
What
to
is
go.
happening right now?
I thought I saw him on Instagram saying he's trying to confuse the enemy the other day.
It was like
Mind
art of-
games.
Yeah, mind games.
You've got him rattled.
Hopefully not with me though.
Yeah, you're like, no, I'm cool.
I just
ahead.
figured I'll be in his heat and he'll just smoke me, so that's what I figured. But
Well,
And-
after
and-
your performance the other couple weeks ago over here, like, you got some waves.
Yeah,
you
I got
some
a couple.
experience.
Yeah.
How's that change your mindset a little bit? Was it good to kind of get blasted on a backdoor one and then make one and
yeah.
get it all out of the way?
Yeah, it was pretty scary though. I guess I wanted to come over here and just free surf, but Volcom were like, oh, what about you going 2 comps? And I was like, oh. Like, but stoked I did it. I think it's better to surf in a comp out here than in the free surf because you can actually get waves.
When you sign with Volcom, you come to Hawaii for the first time, and you're like, what's going to happen here? Do they haze you when you rock up, or do they give you a guard of
picks you up
honor?
at the
or-
airport? You're like,
Yeah, I think Richie and I were just talking about it before. You get a nickname, kind of, I think, but I haven't really.
you haven't got one yet?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Everyone just
No,
says.
he needs a nickname.
Everyone
for
just
the North
talks
Shore.
to me in Australian in weird accent, which is pretty funny. So I guess that's what happens, you know.
Yeah.
And are you straight into the Jerry house, or are you in
Yeah.
the B house next door?
In the Jerry house, which is sick. A lot of Volcom guys have gotten good over the years just from being there for months on end, you know, or whatever, just cruising at the house, and you can kind of pick your windows when it's going to be good and just hit it, you know, when you see it's uncrowded or
Yeah.
feeling it.
What wave do you like over here? I mean, obviously, like when you get your windows here, but do you venture out anywhere else?
Yeah, I like Rockies heaps.
Yeah, we
But-
saw that sick photo you got, that backside.
Oh yeah,
On Tom's thing.
yeah. Tom likes Rockies too. But
Look at
it's
that.
I think when you start staying here, you just kind of don't really venture anywhere else.
That
But
gets
I mean,
Where are you
the
living at
waves
home
are just
these
coolest
days?
out here. At this place called Bangalore. But
You guys might know
I
that.
surf at Ballina and stuff.
Yep.
Where all the sharks are.
Tell us about Bangalore, because for those of you who aren't aware, that's kind of like inland of Byron Bay.
Yeah.
Byron Bay is astronomically expensive.
Yeah.
And unless you're Wilco, you can't really afford to live on the beach.
Fully.
And everyone else, Bangalore is like the raddest little country town you'll ever find.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's got a really good skate park, and then it's kind of close to the highway to drive to the waves.
What's the farm where everyone hangs out, plays
That's-
guitars and shapes boards and stuff?
Yeah, that's Ellis's house. That's pretty sick. It's just by itself out on a farm, so you can jam and stuff. And
It's a
be
throwback
loud.
to 1975 Australian surfing.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Shaping.
Well, it's
surfing.
actually the old pub, I guess, like
Really?
rebuilt on some land, which is pretty funny.
What are you working on? What's
Working on a part for Volcom. I think it's coming out in June or July.
Is it as nerve-wracking as your cluster part?
No, nothing will ever be that bad.
that bad?
Yeah.
Was that a nightmare? Was that worse than the heat?
Yeah, for sure.
What made it that way?
I guess just wanting to get really good clips makes you pretty angry. And like, I don't know,
It's
you
sort
have a couple of trips in a row where you're like nailing it, and then you start stacking it all together and it just looks all the same, and then you're just tripping. I think that's what kept happening.
What's going on in Maui? I mean,
What were you guys like as kids? Like I like wonder why you woke up and like you're so good at so many disciplines and like how you read the ocean and like how did you decide what to write? I mean, I just watched you surf backdoor like as good as anyone, you know, in a heat, you know, with all the locals at backdoor.
Yeah.
And then you do all the things that you do.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think for me personally, when I was growing up on Maui, I was really exposed to people like Laird Hamilton and Dave Kalama and these alternative sports champions like Robbie Nash, like wind sports guys. So like my parents originally moved to Hawaii, to Maui to surf and windsurf. And on Maui, you know, the surf isn't great all the time. It can get really good. Like, I think we have the best waves when the waves are the biggest in the world. You know, like for quality, there's so many other waves besides Jaws, Pe'ahi, but I just kind of was always interested in trying to do everything and have fun. I never wanted to feel like I left any stone unturned since I was a little kid, and I had all this opportunity to pick it up, and I'd rather be in the water more than I would be on land. So I kind of picked it all up, and I enjoyed every facet of it. And to me, it was just different approaches to riding waves. Like, waves are my favorite. And at the end of the day, getting a really big barrel out of Jaws is probably my single favorite thing to do. But it's not always like that.
You touched on it before, and it's probably the one area we haven't really seen you yet, is towing the slabs in Australia.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to do, get down to the right, Shipstone, Bluff? Are we going to see you compete at Cape Fear one day?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to compete at Cape Fear. That wave looks so gnarly. You know, the slabs look just so tapped, and I think if you go down there, you got to be just committed to beyond committed, because in big waves, and especially at like the right or even Shipsterns, it all is good, and then it can go horribly wrong real quick. But I'm looking at Shipsterns, man. You could do the biggest air ever out there. You know, like if you set up right, yeah, you could do like a 30-foot double cork and like land on one of the steps, and then do like a 180 down it after you get barreled.
It's definitely the world's biggest wedge.
The biggest wedge, dude.
You leave me hanging here, Trevor.